on Outback Truckers. In the world of heavy haulage, Danny Watts is the heavyweight champion.
Oh, it can't be that big. I'll pop around the corner, no panic.
It's his job to drive the biggest monsters on the highway. He's locked in a battle with the clock, the weather and the road.
I lose traction quite easily.
To deliver one of the largest trucks on the planet.
You've got a lot of weight up there. If it starts going off the road, you'll never pull it back.
Steve Grahame makes his living going where other truckers fear to tread.
500 kilometres of corrugation will break something.
He's an Outback legend, taking on the toughest routes.
Sometimes I think, will I ever get off this road?
He's got a $3 million load on board.
I don't like that.
Bluy Barrow and Nolan Turner are a trucking couple.
Part of the right, love. You're an arrogant son of a bitch.
They're on a mission to get to the middle of nowhere.
Trucking is very rough.
And on this trip, Nolan's career is on the line.
My greatest fear, I would never push a clutch again.
In an Adelaide loading yard, legendary Outback trucker Steve Grahame is getting ready for another epic journey. For more than 40 years, he's been battling Australia's toughest roads. Steve goes where others daren't.
Things break just through the mongrel axle braking nature of the roads.
Steve's about to come face to face with the trip that almost broke him just a year ago. What should have been a 5-day drive turned into a 40-day nightmare.
Some trailers caught in the sandbar.
Steve went through trucking hell. Once again, he's headed for the tiny remote settlement of Columbaroo in the northwest of Australia. To get there, he'll have to cross the world's 6th largest country, covering a massive 3,900 kilometres, like driving from London almost to Baghdad. He'll also face some of the roughest roads on the planet. Steve has just 5 days to deliver $3 million worth of power generating equipment. It's a vital load that will transform community life.
This is delicate and it means a great deal to the people at the end of Columbaroo. If something's broken, it's more than 700 k's to get parts.
The freight's already been packed and loaded for Steve. It's critical it's done right. It has to survive the massive journey, 500 kilometres of which is on brutal dirt roads. The Outback can be a dangerous place, so Teeny the dog will ride up front with Steve.
Good girl. Good girl.
He's also brought some two-legged help to share the load, his old mate, Steve Reed. With such a delicate load on board, no one's taking any chances.
The owners of this freight will meet me 300 kilometres out of Columbaroo and check the freight to see if there's any damage to it at that point of time. That's how serious they are, they're concerned about it.
Steve faces another epic trip. Expensive freight, a tight deadline, and one of the toughest roads in the country.
Because of the remoteness of the country, there is going to be some problems. I don't know what they'll be, but 500 kilometres of corrugations will break something.
Aussie trucks cover 44 million kilometres a day, enough to get to the moon and back 50 times. And more than half the country's roads are unsealed. It takes a special kind of driver to ride these roads. In Perth, two-up team Jeff Bluy Barrow and Nolan Turner are getting ready for a 3-day run out into the bush.
Ew.
Bluesy's been driving solo for more than 30 years, but for the last 6, he's shared the cab with his partner.
For years and years, he's only ever driven on his own. He just couldn't handle anyone else in the truck.
And they make a perfect team.
Hey! Come up here.
Most of the time.
Hang on, boss.
Listening to his mates and people who know him on the road, and they go, wow, he's got a two-up driver and it's a woman? What? Living with them, eating with them, sleeping with them, working with them, it's a challenge.
All right. That plug's it's your problem. Okay, I'm not arguing. Do you want a drink or not?
How do you say you want to open the door and shove somebody out while you're doing 100 down the highway?
Oh, you're an arrogant son of a bitch.
I'll get you over there, don't you worry.
Nolene was raised on a farm and has been driving trucks as long as she can remember.
The machines in the trucks were always there. It's a feel. You've either got it or you don't.
But this trip will be a test of more than just her skill behind the wheel. She's recovering from a painful knee reconstruction.
My greatest fear, I would never push a clutch again.
It's an interesting contraption. Put it this way, if I didn't have it, I wouldn't be walking.
If her injury can't stand up to the trip, she could be forced to leave the job she's loved all her life.
It'll actually be the first time that I drive this trip. I haven't driven anything yet. So we'll see how the leg goes.
Making things even tougher is the destination. They're heading for the town of Alice Springs, at the very heart of Australia. It's one of the most isolated places on Earth, surrounded by thousands of kilometres of desert. To get there, Bluy and Nolan will have to survive the Great Central Road, a 1,200 kilometre stretch of rough dirt track.
Hold your line and then you'll be fine.
It's a huge challenge for even the fittest driver.
Oh, I'm looking forward to getting out there, trying to move.
In Australia, 3/4 of freight is hauled by trucks, more than 500,000 of them, pulling 5 million tonnes a day. And the loads don't come any bigger than this massive dump truck. Fully loaded, they can weigh up to a huge 700 tonnes, double the weight of a 747 jet. Driving the biggest thing on the road comes with huge pressure. Only the best of the best can cut it. One of those is Danny Watts.
At the moment, she's got a hell of a lot of weight on her. I love that the shiniest truck in the road. You go past people and go, oh, he looks after that, and that makes you feel good. It'll get dirty and I'll wash it again and give her a love tap and I'll say, good job today, girl. But I look after it like it's mine. Like my wife said, that's you have a love in life, isn't it? Of course it is. Look, it's beautiful. She looks after it. We make money together.
This time, Danny's making money getting this monster out to a Queensland mine site. It's the world's largest mechanical dump truck with a supersized price tag of $7 million. Danny's 200 kilometre run will take him from Mackay to Moranbah in rural Queensland. But there's a catch. He'll have to do it during the middle of the night. It's the only time Danny's massive load is allowed on public roads. He has just 6 hours to get the job done. Failure is not an option. It's a high-risk journey. Even the smallest mistake could spell disaster.
We're not just playing in the park and kicking the football around like, you're being serious here. You've got a lot of weight up there. If it starts going off the road, you'll never pull it back. Yeah, you broke it. Oh, nearly broke it.
On the road to Columbaroo, Steve Grahame faces a dilemma. He needs to push hard to make his deadline, but with $3 million worth of delicate equipment on board, he's having to drive like he's on eggshells.
We've got very expensive motors and generating systems, and it's no good to anyone getting out there damaged.
And out here, even the sealed roads are rough.
We'll be some hours letting our tyres down and just making sure that everything's right. I mean, I've dropped back to 80 kilometres an hour here. In some ways, you know, my fingers are crossed that we're not doing damage to the freight here on this stuff.
He's got no choice but to back off and nurse his truck to the next fuel stop. Steve's been at the wheel all day, driving as smoothly as possible. But after a pounding from the roads, he wants to check on his precious freight.
I don't like that.
After all his hard work, it's the last thing Steve wants to see.
These things were obviously set up on this platform, and this platform's collapsed. And, you know, that's not good. That's not good at all, and I don't want to go any further with it.
The worst damage is on 2 thermal mufflers. Each is worth $4,000.
This and this.
And they've taken a beating.
Oh, there's some weight in there, man. Lovely. I'm glad I looked in here when I did. because they're just... Oh, I just hate to imagine if they had been rolling around in there for any longer. We would have delivered a container full of nuts and bolts.
He may not have packed the load, but it's still Steve's name and Steve's business on the line.
Geez, I should have looked in these things there. I should have opened the doors. I should have made them open the doors.
Outside Perth, Bluy and Nolan are finally back doing what they love, heading into the Outback.
Can't wait to see that bitumen run underneath, then just head out on the dirt.
When this couple first met, it was Nolan's mechanical nous which caught Bluey's eye.
She used to do a lot of things a lot better than blokes used to do. Guys out there didn't have a clue what they were doing, where she did. She's pretty switched on.
But it was a run-in with a sexist boss which sealed their romance.
I got cranky because a man treated me like an idiot.
You ain't no idiot.
4 months I put up with that little Turk.
And I went and said my piece, and then we got instant dismissal.
This time, they're hauling 30 tonnes of freight to Alice Springs. At 800 kilometres to the nearest city, it's one of the most remote places on Earth. For Nolan, it's been a long road to recovery, but she's hoping today's the day she'll finally get back behind the wheel.
I gotta keep doing that. Just arthritis in the knee joint basically just causes that much pain that you limp so bad you twist the rest of your body. So about a week after I turned 50, they said, you will be here on the 4th and we will chop your knee up on the 5th.
The smooth bitumen is about to be replaced by something much redder and much tougher. The Great Central Road, all 1,200 kilometres of it. It's a dirt track that will test both truck and trucker to the limit. To soak up the punishment from the road surface, they need to lower their tyre pressures to almost half their normal level.
Pretty keen to get behind the wheel. Sick of sitting around doing nothing. Gotta do something. Bust them. Have a go. Get out there and bite some dirt. Do something.
Out here, road conditions are unpredictable. One thing that isn't is their deadline. They have 3 days to make it to Alice.
The boss has said we've got to be there Tuesday morning, but he doesn't know what the condition of the road is, and we've got to drive to the condition of the road. Rough, we go slow. If it's smooth, we'll make up time.
In Queensland, Danny Watts and his team are up against the clock. They have just a few hours to load the world's largest dump truck.
You right, Raj? Let's go.
The truck's tray has been removed, but it still weighs in at a massive 280 tonnes. It's vital Danny spreads the weight evenly. With millimetre precision, he must reverse all 80 wheels of his 30-metre trailer underneath the load to exactly the right position.
There you go. A little bit to your left, mate, if anything. There you go. Straighten him up. Yeah.
Danny nails it first time. Next, he needs to raise his hydraulics to take the full weight of the truck.
And what the boys are going to do now, they're actually going to let the front suspension down. They drop the gas out of the front struts. The truck will actually sit on the trailer, and that way, as soon as I start lifting the trailer, the wheels will come off the ground.
Danny's got just millimetres to spare. Raise the truck too little and he won't have enough ground clearance. Too much and he risks hitting high voltage power lines.
All right, we'll start lifting up.
Once the suspension is lowered, Danny prepares to take the strain. An equipment failure would spell disaster.
We'll blow a hydraulic hose here, have it in the air, and then it'll just drop. So, fingers crossed.
At 280 tonnes, his trailer's taking the weight of 250 family-sized cars.
You notice I'm getting a hell of a lot of weight here. These tyres are going half flat. That should come off the ground any minute now.
He's pushing his trailer to its limit.
She's got a hell of a lot of weight on her.
The load is secure, but it's too heavy for the road. The 10-tonne wheels and 16-tonne hubs need to come off. At $40,000 a tyre, it's an expensive pit stop. Next, Danny moves his 550 horsepower prime mover into position.
Make sure you're hooked in. Go out here. It's not hooked up properly. Truck goes, trailer stays. Then it goes down. I don't want that embarrassment.
After losing valuable time, Steve Grahame is on the road again. The damaged equipment is back on board. Up ahead is one of the toughest dirt roads in the country. With heavy rain, it can become a bog.
We don't want to be slipping and sliding in mud holes. The rain that's forecast is probably only for a day or two. If there's a good shower out there or a good storm, it can play hell with my plans, and I don't want it.
The Gibb River Road is a brutal stretch of track. It's just about the last place you'd want to take a 50-tonne road train carrying $3 million worth of fragile equipment. Just a few kilometres in, Steve meets the first obstacle in his path. A river crossing. The water level is low, but it could still be hiding plenty of surprises. Potholes, rocks and sandbars can bring even the most powerful road train to a halt. Steve has to tiptoe his way across. While he's got past one obstacle, ahead is a section of jump-ups, sharp hills that drain a truck's momentum.
Yeah, we've got another serious jump up coming up, Stephen.
As he crawls uphill, he's burning a litre of fuel every 800 metres. Steve's using every inch of the road. The last thing he needs now is head-on traffic.
I don't want someone with a caravan coming over the top here wanting to compete with me for it. I want it all at the minute.
On the edge of the central Australian desert, Bluy and Nolan are taking on the bone-shaking Great Central Road. Nolan's getting ready for a moment she thought may never come again. Getting behind the wheel of a truck.
You've got to continually work your leg all the time. Straighten it, bend it, straighten it, bend it.
The road's living up to its reputation. The constant battering is taking its toll. After 5 hours in the driver's seat, Bluy needs a break.
Oh, you might.
And it's Nolan's moment of truth.
Righto, we shall give it a go. Day 2, mid-morning, we'll give it a bash. Oh God, here we go. As long as I can get it on that clutch, it's all good. And get it off. Got a bit to go, but we get there. You don't realise how much you actually use a bent leg until you've got a stiff one.
She's holding up so far, even if the moment might be lost on Bluy.
You wait, Jeff. No, toes up.
But it's not long before the road gives her injured knee a real test. Just after 1:30 a.m, Danny Watts begins his 180-tonne delivery.
Righto, Connie. Out the gate, mate.
It's 200 kilometres of difficult road in the dark, with daybreak just 6 hours away.
9.5 metres will be northbound. And we'll be roadside again.
Righto, Bobby, you can hear me, Al? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you, Danny. We got you.
Connie, what's those traffic lights laid down up here?
Okay, all ready for you.
First, Danny needs to make a tight turn through a narrow intersection. He'll drive on the wrong side of the road to swing left, while his team clear the traffic ahead.
I can't have anything on the highway because I've got the whole road. We want to come straight out there, boys?
Yeah, keep going. One little stop clear.
We've got one car and we'll be able to fix it. Because it's so wide here, we have to lay the traffic lights down.
Driving this beast is all about staying cool under pressure. Whatever the road throws at him, Danny must keep his stress in check. And with such a monster load, around every corner, there's a hazard. Next, roadworks. Danny slows to a crawl as he picks his way through the traffic bollards or witches' hats.
If I get witches hats jammed up under here, they can start burning, next thing I'll start a fire. Crawl through here and I'll just tap and I'll stay standing up. If you go too quick, you mow them down, you spread them everywhere.
But even the best can't win them all. Next, there's a section of hard barriers. Danny's running out of room fast.
I'll just slow right down, crawl through. Am I going down the right hand side, Bobby?
One mistake and his $7 million load could be stuck fast.
Gonna get ugly here in a minute.
After climbing a steep jump up, Steve Grahame has made it to a rendezvous with the owners of his freight.
Down the mufflers, you can see. Yeah.
If the damage to the mufflers wasn't enough, there's more bad news.
The engine mounts have actually compacted and crushed. It's simply the material it was made out of. I mean, I'm not an engineer, probably needed to be a bit stronger. You know, I hate being associated with any sort of a delivery that doesn't give the customer what he's... They buy new stuff, we cart it out there, it should be new when they get it.
They still have 300 kilometres to go, and the delays have cost them precious time. With pressures mounting, another of Steve's old enemies rears its head. Corrugations.
They up the wear and tear on everything. I mean, everything's sitting there getting vibrated away.
They're a series of regular bumps in the road, caused by traffic running over them for weeks, months and years on end. At their worst, it's like driving on an assault course. His load is taking an even greater hammer.
All we can do is basically walk the load in like this.
It's more lost time, but Steve wants to check his freight again. There's a problem. Fuel's leaking everywhere.
Can you just grab it? Yeah, I know.
It's a dangerous situation.
You really don't want all that splashing around in there, do you?
The boys must stop the leak and pump out the fuel fast.
The deepest point will be in that corner.
She's away. No, you only got 3.
After fighting a tough section of the Great Central Road, Nolan has made it through her first big test behind the wheel. The road is finally giving her knee a breather.
Been busting for 3 months to get out in the bush. Sitting there waiting patiently, doing as I'm told, if the knee's going to work or not. But hey, guess what? I'm out here doing it. Yeah. And that's a good feeling.
It's been a long 3 months off the road, but at the end of a huge day for Nolan, the reward is some roadside tucker in the place many fear, but which they love.
It was awesome getting in that truck yesterday.
I feel like I'm alive again. Yeah. Like every time you come out, it's a challenge. You don't know what you're going to come up against, and it's just awesome. But you bring half those city guys out, they shit themselves.
After navigating his 200-ton truck through a tight section of roadworks, Danny Watt's most dangerous obstacle is just up ahead. High voltage power lines.
We'll have Dutchie on the ground, the high wire bloke. He'll be standing there, his son will be out on the side there, holding the big pole up, lifting the wires up. And that way we won't have any arcing or we won't have a power wire trying to draw down to the load.
In the pitch black of night, he'll be driving blind, relying on his pilots to physically lift 10,000 volt cables. Get it wrong, and the results could be disastrous.
Dude, there's a big spark, it'll blow every tyre on this truck. They can stuff that machine in the back. The whole thing will come to a grinding halt.
One down, but the next cable isn't far ahead. Danny's pilots race to get into position.
Where you go? Like you stole a bloody push bike, that kid. See, he's got his stick lit up well. I just seen the wire bend then.
Danny slows to walking pace as 10,000 volts buzzes above him. There's just one more cable to go, but it's the most dangerous of the lot.
They've built the road up underneath the wire.
The raised road surface will put Danny right on the limit of his clearance. To get under the cable, he'll have to lower his trailer as far as possible, just 60 millimetres off the ground. Inch by inch, he creeps under the last high voltage wire. One big spark could end the journey right here. Having scraped through, Danny needs to raise his trailer and get underway fast to make up lost time.
Go on, old girl.
But there's a problem. His hydraulics are dead.
No, she's not going to do it today. She's shit herself today.
He's going nowhere. Danny needs to fix the hydraulics on his 80-wheel trailer quickly. Time's ticking away. It'll soon be daylight and his operation could be halted. He's hoping the problem could be a simple flat battery drained by his lights.
Because we run all the lights, the little battery up there, she's suffering a bit.
$7 million worth of freight, $1 million trailer and $500,000 worth of truck are all relying on a $20 pair of jump leads.
You want some? We want to go again, let's all go.
There's only one last obstacle left in Danny's way, but it's the toughest, the Eaton Range Mountain Pass.
I'll always worry about the hill. You've got to treat that hill with respect, because if you get too cocky with it, you will come undone and it will be ugly.
It's a notorious accident black spot, a 6-kilometre climb up an 11% gradient. Just a single 100-metre stretch has seen 4 fatal truck crashes in recent years. At almost 200 tonnes, Danny's too heavy to get up it alone. He calls in backup from not one, but 2 extra prime movers. 3 drivers, 3 big trucks, and one of the biggest loads in the world. What could possibly go wrong?
Roscoe's pushing too hard. He can spin off centre. Tell himself on the big knot. Next thing you know, we've got a truck arse that red. Right, Connie, we're going to start going. You right back there, Bobby?
Yeah, when you're ready.
Idle.
In a road train measuring nearly 60 metres, there's 1,500 horsepower ready to help Danny make the climb. The range has been cleared of traffic. All 3 trucks and drivers must work together to get up the mountain.
We stay in one gear. You don't want to change gears on that hill because you'll come to a dead stop.
Danny's completely reliant on the drivers up front and behind.
I can't see the road, so I put a lot of faith in Wade now.
There's almost 300 tonnes clinging to the road. Keeping traction is vital.
Wade down front, he breaks traction. Me and Roscoe at the back, we still got traction. We'll push him through it. When I get there, they pull me through it.
But even with 3 prime movers, the massive strain is starting to tell.
Someone's not working here.
The truck behind isn't pushing hard enough.
Oh, I think Roscoe might be hanging off the back of me.
Yeah, westbound, just be patient.
We should be a bit quicker than this.
If he doesn't push harder, they could grind to a halt, leaving them stuck on the mountain.
If he's not working hard and I die, we won't take off again.
Roscoe needs to pick up speed, and soon.
He's kicking in there. We're picking up speed again.
After battling up the range, Danny's convoy finally reaches the summit. With his massive load hogging the highway, he must make his destination before sunrise. But as dawn approaches, the temperature is dropping.
Fog's starting to come in quite thick, actually.
This is a whole new headache.
A lot of cars are like a kangaroo at the headlight. You don't know what's going to happen.
Having patched up a dangerous fuel leak, Steve Grahame has come across yet another problem.
That doesn't look good from here. I don't like the angle of that thing.
His convoy is blocked by a truck whose trailer is too low for the slope into a creek. Luckily, there's a couple of veteran Outback truckers willing to lend a hand.
The quickest and easiest way to do this?
Under the air valve.
No, crawl under it. Get your height adjustment valve. This is airbag, isn't it?
Yep.
And just
lift
pump
it
your
right
airbags up.
Who's going under, Steve?
I suppose I'll get under because I know.
Because you're the slimmest.
Well, no, I've done it before.
No, it's do you want the screwdriver or something?
Yeah,
Like a little rubber.
give us a screwdriver.
The driver, Mark, has tried to raise the road surface with rocks, but it hasn't worked.
This is a nice road you built here, Mark.
Well, yeah.
No, it is. I built a road. I've built a few roads out here over the years. I'm pleased to see other blokes that come along building roads out here. It's good.
While Steve supervises, Steve Reed helps Mark attempt to raise the trailer to clear the ridge.
Now, Steve's going to try and get the airbags to lift up to their maximum, which might give Mark enough clearance.
The trouble is, no one knows how high his trailer will go. If they pump his suspension too much, they risk blowing an airbag, leaving Mark stranded.
Actually, it's jumping up a long way, right as we...
I would go maximum that you can without blowing the airbag.
You know the only thing wrong with that theory? You don't really know what the maximum is until they go bang.
I'd hold it there, Steve. Steve-o, that's it, mate, you got it. Yep, stop, stop.
You know who your mates are out here some days, don't you?
Don't you?
The ride heights up as far as they dare, but is it enough to get the road train out?
We'll give you the signal, mate. I'll be laying here.
As Mark's blocking the road, all 3 trucks could be stuck here if he can't escape. Job done. While it's yet another delay for Steve, out here on the toughest roads in the land, it's all about helping out your fellow trucker.
1-800 assist, we may not be there.
Thanks for that, eh?
Just 20 kilometres from his destination, the fate of Danny Watt's journey is now in the hands of the weather. A thick bank of fog is making road conditions dangerous.
Some people might think, oh, it's only fog, but when you're 9.5 metres wide, like we're over either side of the bitumen here, people will come towards us, will panic.
The sunrise is minutes away, but if the fog gets any worse, Danny's police escort may have no choice but to step in.
It's too foggy where it's too hard for the people to see me coming. They can pull the load up and stop us.
If he's pulled over now, he could spend the whole day off the road, a delay costing thousands of dollars. But the fog is also starting to affect the road surface.
The road's wet here. I lose traction quite easily in these wet roads because of the amount of the weight in the back there. You just start spinning, you can't help it.
Danny's within touching distance of home, but he's having to use all his skill and experience to stay on the road. All night he's been racing the sunrise, but now Danny hopes it'll come to his rescue. He needs the rising sun to burn away the fog. Finally, the road is clear. After a hard day's night, he's almost at his destination.
Puts a big smile on my face and makes you feel proud that you can get it there. That's why I love doing this job.
He's driven $7 million worth of equipment, weighing 180 tonnes over 200 kilometres, crossing mountain ranges, roadworks and bad weather. But for elite trucker Danny Watts, it's just another day at the office.
You get obstacles thrown at you, you don't stress, you don't scream and panic and yell and carry like a lunatic about it. You just got to cop it on the chin. You don't have to big note yourself about it. Just get on, do your job and just get it done.
Deep in the heart of Central Australia, Bluy and Nolan are crossing one of the most isolated places on Earth. No one's expecting to see another face out here.
Go turn around the bush block up the road here a bit.
Roger.
With temperatures into the high 30s and 500 kilometres to the next town, a lone cyclist is the last traveller you'd expect to see.
No, but you think you'd have more sense.
Having looked forward to being on the road together, it seems the long days in the cab are starting to get to Nolan and Bluy.
You don't get it, this really shits me off. I share everything with you and I keep things for you. And you don't give
Just give us a bit, that's all I want.
Oh, for God's sake, here.
That much.
What?
On a bit.
How much is a bit?
Oh, 2 inches. Say yes.
No.
Okay.
What are you bullshitting about?
Just get back in your hole, donkey head.
I'll give you knockerhead. Look at this silly old fart.
On these roads, when the going gets serious, being a team can save your load and your life. It's one of the hazards of dry dirt roads, a dust storm. Bluy can't see clearly ahead.
Hold your line and you'll be fine.
If he stamps on the brakes, he risks rolling the truck. He needs Nolan to help him stay on the road and out of the path of oncoming traffic.
Come my way a little bit.
They must work together to get through it.
It's all straight. Come my way a little bit. You're too far to the right, love.
Bluy and Nolan are in luck. As fast as it blows in, the storm blows by. After surviving 1,200 kilometres of pounding dirt roads, it's back onto the bitumen for the run into Alice. Nolan's career was hanging in the balance, but she survived everything the road could throw at her. This team are on time, in one piece, and very happy to be here.
Yeah, I feel like I'm achieving something, I'm doing something, I've got a challenge in life.
It can be a lonely life.
That's the good bit about us being together. It's just a lot easier with the two of us, isn't it?
After 5 hard days at the wheel, Steve Grahame is nearing the end of his journey. Just one final hurdle stands in his way, his old foe, the Carson River. It's the deepest crossing on his route. Steve will have to inch his way through. One pothole, or sandbar is all it takes to land him in serious trouble. He's through the river, but the road has another trick up its sleeve.
I won't get up here.
He's stranded within sight of the finish line.
The road's having one last go. It just won't let me go. I've got 20 kilometres to get this load in, and it's just pulled me up at the Carson River, my nemesis.
To get out, Steve hooks the two trucks together. It'll create an 1,100 horsepower monster. One will push Steve up the bank, and he'll then tow his mate behind. 4 trailers, 70 metres long, 100 tonnes and 100 wheels. It's a big road train. Steve will need every ounce of horsepower he can get.
Look at them all skedaddle.
While the Carson River is behind him, the road to Columbaroo never gives in.
At this point, you start to think you've nearly beaten this road, because I've probably only got about 10 k's to go to get into town. And this bloody road, just before I get into town, just becomes a rock. Just a flat rock shelf.
Finally, it's the sight he's been waiting for. Steve's battered and bruised, but he's made it over the line. It's been a marathon trek, covering nearly 4,000 kilometres, 3 states, and some of the toughest roads in the country.
This is what it's all about. I'm happy now. The stuff's starting to come off. They're lifting it off the truck, so we've done the job.